Companies that have an ideal customer profile have a win rate that's up to 68% higher. Early stage companies that have an ideal customer profile are more likely to hit true product market fit. Here's the big question though. If ideal customer profiles are so great, why isn't every startup just crushing the SaaS game? In this episode, having worked on over 250 ideal customer profiles across my own companies, across the founders that I coach, across the companies that I've worked at, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles that you absolutely need to know on how to create an insanely great ideal customer profile. And when you apply these principles for your own ideal customer profile, you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon where you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. If you are part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, if you are already part of this community, this fast-growing community in YouTube, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. When I started my last company, Kader, we were pioneers in the sales engagement space. We started off as an email productivity tool. And on the website, I literally said all the different types of people that could use Tout. Luckily, the features were so great, a whole bunch of people started using it and we started generating revenues very quickly. But as we started to figure out how to grow, it became very evident that we needed to actually focus on a specific market to actually drive that growth. This was taught to me by some of the mentors of mine. And so when we actually did the ideal customer profile exercise the right way, we were able to completely change the trajectory of our growth. Over time, Tout amassed over 100,000 registered users. We were backed by Andreessen Horowitz. We scaled the company. We pioneered the sales engagement space. Then we sold it to Marketo, a leader in the marketing automation space at the time. Fast forward to today, I've actually worked on an ideal customer profile over 250 times. I did it for Tout. I did it for the 2 SaaS companies that I operate today. I did it with the 250 plus SaaS founders that I've coached over the last few years. Based on everything that I've learned about building a proper ideal customer profile, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles that you absolutely need to know to create an insanely great one. So if you're excited to dig into this, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and let's dig right into it. So firstly, let's just define what an ideal customer profile is. A lot of people make this overly complicated. Now, the devil is in the details when you're building out an ideal customer profile, but the key components to an ideal customer profile are actually not that complicated. There's 3 core things that goes into a proper ideal customer profile. You wanna make sure you're targeting a segment of the market that has the urgent and important problem that you are solving. You wanna make sure that segment of the market has budget to actually get that problem solved, and you wanna make sure that segment of the market is also underserved, meaning there's not much competition where you can actually differentiate yourself. When you nail these 3 things, that's the magic green spot in that Venn diagram where you will be able to drive growth. So conceptually, it's a very straightforward piece of document. The problem that I've seen, having done this so many times, is the devil is in the details. When I work with founders inside of my go-to-market program, we do a 29-point analysis on how to actually build an ideal customer profile. So I'm gonna walk you through the 3 most important ones that actually make a difference when deploying an ideal customer profile. The first one that you wanna know about when you're actually defining an ideal customer profile, and I learned this the hard way when we were actually looking at some of the new companies that I started, getting them initial revenues, which I did over the last 12 months, is you need to make sure that whatever market you're going after, however you're defining ideal customer profile, you are 10 times better than the competition. If you are targeting a segment of the market, you want to make sure that when you start approaching these people, they have that urgent important problem, but also more importantly, they're underserved. You are 10 times better than the default competition they're coming after. I've worked with founders over the years where they said, look, these people have nothing, they just have a spreadsheet. But still, that spreadsheet was a formidable competitor. The people they were trying to sell to and charge money for were saying, look, I don't want to do all the work and get rid of this spreadsheet that already works pretty well and then pay you and then migrate all this. I'm good. And that spreadsheet ended up being a really formidable competitor. At the same time, I worked with some founders that were going after really crowded spaces. And there were de facto competitors that were just crushing it in that game. They were venture-backed or public companies, well-established, and there was no way they could actually catch up to them and differentiate. And so they needed to figure out a way to actually have a 10x angle. One segment of the market, one aspect of the market, one feature that is 10 times better than the competition, and that was able to help them break through. That's the first thing that I learned with ideal customer profiles that you should think about as you are building yours out. And the second one, as I've started to work with a lot of founders that are a few 100,000 ARR, upwards of 100 million in ARR, when we did ICPs for those, we actually started to leverage their revenue data. The best ideal customer profiles are actually influenced by revenue data. Now, if you're at pre-revenue and you're trying to build out an ideal customer profile, it's perfectly normal to start with a thesis because you don't have any data and start testing it as quickly as possible. When you have revenues, it's really important to look at that revenue data and start to understand where you are winning deals, why, what makes you different, and feed that back into your ideal customer profile. It's a very specific analysis I like to do with your revenue data where you can slice and dice it in specific ways to get to real insights on what should go into your ideal customer profile. The way I learned this was not actually a tout app. Tout app sold to Marketo, and Marketo was driving to $500 million in ARR. And we had so much revenue data. And we were in the mid-market trying to go up market, and we were trying to defend the lower end of the market. It was crazy. Over there, I saw firsthand how you can do a proper revenue analysis on nearly $500 million ARR of data, and you can start to understand where you win, where you lose, and that fed into that ideal customer profile, which completely ran the transformation for the company. It was really incredible to see. So the second way you can actually do this, second piece you want to do this for ideal customer profile is to look at your revenue data to inform what your ideal customer profile needs to be. Now, there's a third one where this really comes together, but let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Everyone thinks they have an ideal customer profile, or they did some version of it. But at the end of the day, the devil is in the details. You really want to get it right. This is why I follow 29 different points to really make sure the ideal customer profile is right, and that's why it's so effective. But if you're starting to do this, if you're starting to flesh this out, just these three can really change the trajectory of how you're approaching your go-to-market strategy. And the ideal customer profile is one of the critical components to your go-to-market strategy on how you actually do marketing and sales. The better you are at this, the more successful you're going to be in the long run. So if you're starting to see the power in this, and you're also just getting a little excited about, oh my God, we can get a lot more clear about who we're serving, why we're different, why we're 10 times better. We can even look at our revenue data to understand what that is. If you're starting to see the power on this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, if you're in the stage where you're building out your scalable go-to-market strategy, you want to take your SaaS business to that next stage of growth, and you want my help, I encourage you to check out my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it below, and I'll also tell you more about it at the end of this episode. Let's go to principle number 3, where all this comes together. Now, principle number 3 came from doing this so many times. And one of the things that I saw is the companies that were successful, and I really saw this at play at Marketo when we were trying to mobilize this ideal customer profile across a global organization. The companies that were successful were the ones that really mobilized their ideal customer profile. The companies that failed didn't really build an ideal customer profile. They kind of had a wish list, they kind of winged it. And then more importantly, they didn't mobilize it. So what does that mean? Well, principle number 3 is you want to actually track your go-to-market motions and actually track your ideal customer profile across your go-to-market motions. What that means is we started to look at when leads came in, were they ICP leads or non-ICP leads? When opportunities got created, were they ICP leads or non-ICP opportunities? And when customers were won, were they ICP customers or non-ICP customers? And we tracked all of this, and it was very easy, and very quickly we saw the win rate was higher on ideal customer profile leads and deals. The customers that were ideal customer profile customers churned less. So that data allowed us to really mobilize the go-to-market functions and tell them, look, if you're working an ideal customer profile deal, you're more likely to win. If you're not, then chances are you won't win, you'll waste your time. But even if you do win by luck or chance, they're probably gonna churn. So it's not a win for the organization. At Marketo, we actually did something crazy. For non-ICP deals, salespeople didn't earn full commission. In order to earn their full commission, they had to do ICP deals. That's how religious we got about the ideal customer profile, and that completely changed the behavior of the organization at scale. So principle number 3 is don't just create the ICP and then just forget it. Make sure you're tracking it through your go-to-market functions. For every lead, figure out if it's an ICP lead or a non-ICP lead. For every opportunity, ICP or non-ICP, and you get the picture. And that data can then feed back into your ideal customer profile so you can make it better and better every quarter. Okay, so let's recap. These are the 3 biggest things that I've learned when building ideal customer profiles to make sure that they're actually successful. What an ideal customer profile is where you are solving an urgent, important problem, the customer has budget, and they're underserved. Those are the best type of markets to go after. And sometimes founders, let me just talk about this for a second, because this is important. Sometimes founders are like, I want to go after world domination, and I want to take over the world. We don't want to go too small. They're afraid of getting more focused. So one of the things, mental tricks that I use, because I've done this so many times with founders when I've coached them, is don't think of this as an ideal customer profile. Think about it as an initial customer profile, or think about it as, how do you go from this revenue level to this revenue level, and what's the customer profile for that? So it's not forever. And the phrase that I always like to use is, look, Amazon started by selling books online in 1999 or 1998, whenever, when no one was buying anything online, let alone books. But now they sell everything to everyone everywhere, and they earned that right for world domination. So start small and expand from there. And every quarter we can review this and iterate on your ideal customer profile and expand as you start to gain momentum. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure you are 10 times better than the competition. Where are you 10 times better? That should feed into your ideal customer profile. You also want to make sure that when you're building ideal customer profile, you are informed by revenue data. There's a gold mine of data that you can tap into to understand what your ideal customer profile is. And then you also want to track your ICP across your go-to-market motions. Is a lead ICP or non-ICP? Is an opportunity ICP or non-ICP? And you get the picture. You start to do these 3 things and you actually build a proper ideal customer profile. It is a core component to actually revamping your go-to-market strategy and driving growth in your SaaS organization. And now you know exactly what you need to be doing based on everything that I've learned on doing this for so long. And what you may not know is, TK, like, what does a good ideal customer profile look like? What are the 29 different points that you do? And how do you go through the revenue data? What do you look at and what do you sift through? Or how do you track it through the go-to-market motions? If you're at that stage where you're like, TK, I really want to implement all these pieces and I don't want to waste any time, I want the cheat codes, this is why I created my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. Inside of this program, I work with you and I guide you in actually revamping your go-to-market strategy and executing on it. And a core component of that is your ideal customer profile. When we work together in the program, there's 3 core pieces that I'll guide you through. The first one is your ICP. That's your ideal customer profile. We spent this entire video doing this. Once you have your ICP, the second piece that we work on is your manifesto. Your manifesto is your positioning. It's your messaging to communicate why this ICP should care about your solution. Once you have those 2 pieces, you essentially have your core go-to-market strategy. And then it's about execution. That's the third piece. This is the Broadway show. The Broadway show is a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that you run to bring your manifesto to your ICP on a consistent basis. And the best version of this is where your ideal customers, more of them know about you every single day that you are running your Broadway show. It is an incredible program. I just love working inside of it. So if you want to work together, just go to tkkader.com/GTM, tkkader.com/GTM, and you'll get all the details. The better the fit, the better the results. So if you'd like to work together, all we ask is you fill out a little form and you get on a call with us. We'll review where you are with your business, what your goals are, and if it sounds like a fit, we'll get started right away. And within 3 weeks of joining, founders are usually able to relaunch their revamped go-to-market strategy and start collecting data so they can keep iterating from there. So just go to tkkader.com/GTM. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. And so do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. I drop an episode like this every single Sunday. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon where you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you have a fellow founder, if you're part of a Slack group or a WhatsApp group or part of a community of other SaaS founders, please share this video with them. We want to serve as many SaaS founders as possible in building incredible software companies. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode. We're inside the SaaS Go-to-Market Coaching Program. Take care, everybody. Every single time I drop an episode I put lotion on my hands right before I got on. That's what happens.